Okay, hello and welcome. In this video, we will be going over why this line of code will print false. Now, in this print, you can see, okay, we're just comparing one empty table to another empty table. This should print true, right? Because this has nothing on it, the other one has nothing on it. They're both tables. They both have to be the same. But if we print enter or hit enter, we can see that it gives us false. Now, before I go over why it gives us false, you have to learn how tables are made. So tables, as a quick rundown, tables basically house different elements at different indexes that you can set or get or whatever you do with them. So now, to where a table is, or what a table is to a computer, is that it's just a memory address. And a memory address is basically a location or spot in the memory in which a table is held. So if we test right here and just print one empty table, and let me just turn on log mode so you can see the memory address, it would give us this. Like, it's completely random to whatever table you make. It will just go on and on and on. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it isn't. It just goes on. It's just different each time you print it. So if we go back to our example, we're comparing one empty table to another, but in the computer's eyes, we're just comparing one address to another address. So in the first empty table, we make one random address, and on the second table we make another random address. So we compare the both, and they aren't actually the same because they're completely different, because you can't just house two different tables in the same address or location, because then you'll have like combined or messed up tables that you don't want in your code, of course. Now, what can we do to combat this, or what can we do to check if one table equals another table? Now, sadly, there isn't any sort of function that could help us. We have to write our own. Now, I'm just going to go over a shallow checker for your tables. And shallow basically means that it'll just go over the first layer. It won't go deep if you have any nested tables, and it would just go one layer. But you could assume how you would make a deep one, or check every single table by just adding some recursion and some type checks. Now, to start off, we will create our function. In this function, we will name is same shallow checker. Now, in the first two parameters, we will have table 1, and in the second, we will have table 2. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, we will just print our output to test. In the first one, we'll just have one empty table, and the second one will have another. Now, in our case, I'm just going to make it really simple and rough, but when you make this, you should make it a lot more refined and a lot more polished than what I'm making it. So right now, we're just going to loop through the first table to check if it has, if table 2 has the same as table 1, and then we're going to do it vice versa, because sometimes one table has more than the other, and we're going to have to check both in the end. So we're just going to loop through it, and I assume you know how to loop through a table. For IV, index value, in pairs, so we can put dictionaries and whatnot. Do, right? And then we're going to check table 2 index, so table 2 I. We're going to check if it's not the same, because then we're going to have to make it return false. So it would make it so if it somehow finds that it doesn't have the same value, or the value just isn't there, then it will just mean that they both aren't the same. So if the index of table 2 is not the same as the value at table 1, then that means they're both not the same, meaning we will return false. Now, when you write this, you should probably write a function for this because this looks ugly if we're gonna check it vice versa. So right now we're just gonna change this to table 2 and we're gonna change the bottom one to table 1. This should check it for both of them vice versa, and it should give us our expected result. But I'm forgetting one thing, and if both of these checks are come out positive, we want to return true here at the end. Or, I mean, if it returns negative and doesn't return false here, we have to return true at the end to to give the function, or to make it so it would, you get what I mean. So if we run this here and check if both of these empty tables are the same, we should come up with true. This would also be the same if we change the values of the table. So if you make one of the tables 3, 2, 1 and make this 1, 2, 3, this should return false because in the first index, or the first value, it's not the same as this one, so it would return false in the end. So right here returns false like we wanted to, and if we change the locations, like 3 in the first, make him the same, it would return true. Now congratulations, you have made a table checker. Now as I said before, you can make this would only skim over the first layer. If you make nested tables, it wouldn't go over them. You have to repeatedly check those as well, probably using recursion and checking if the value is a table to do that. And yeah, that is all. Goodbye.